You get in life a reflection of who you are being. Who you are being is how you think, feel, and act. It's on autopilot from childhood, where we recreate familiar childhood dynamics over and over and over again, and it's like we're not even aware of it. However, there are 5 secrets that I've learned, 5 techniques that I've used to literally shift myself to my dream reality. And in 2012, I used this. Almost didn't even know I was using it. And then I can see that that was when my life really shifted. I went through a spiritual awakening, and pretty much my whole entire energy changed. I remember going into work after I had this shift, and people were literally like, what's going on? Like, you're so different. And I want to share with you what that is, because I then used that in 2017 to go from a 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes to being a full-time YouTuber. Literally within 6 months, my entire life transformed because I changed who I was being. I stopped being in that box version of me that was recreating familiar childhood dynamics over and over again without even knowing it. Now, stick around as well, because I will be sharing something I never thought I would share in a YouTube video that has to do with an exercise that we do at live events. And hundreds of people have been through this exercise. Every time we do a survey at the end of the live event, people say it was the most transformative thing that they did. And I think the reason is because this is kind of like a way of tapping into the reality that already exists, where you are the version of yourself you intend to be. And because you can feel gratitude for it and feel like you're already in it, it's like you pick up on the vibration and the energy of it, and you feel like it's already happened. Then you attract synchronicities and opportunities into your life that reflect back that inner self being. Because think about it, the emotion of gratitude is that of an emotion of, I'm grateful because it already exists. And a lot of people get caught when they're trying to shift to their dream reality or manifest what they want in their life, whatever terms we want to give this, because they want. And remember, want means it's not here. It's not here. It's not here. I want it. You want it, you lack it. When you realize the version of you that you intend to be already exists, it makes it way easier. I know as well, one of the things that really held me back was imposter syndrome. I was literally stuck in the reality of selling women's shoes because that felt like me. And then I would try to be this YouTuber version of me, of making videos and sharing content, and these thoughts would come up. Who are you to be making content? You're not credible enough. What will people think of you? Like all these self-sabotaging thoughts. And imposter syndrome was very strong in the beginning because it was wanting me to stay within the familiar energy of childhood. So in this video, I want to share with you the techniques that will help you finally shift so that you don't fall back into old patterns. So many people I see, and even myself, I'd make little changes and then fall back to the old. Be like, why can't I shift? Why can't I change? Well, I'm going to share with you what the core reason for that is, how you can actually shift that in your life. I'm going to share with you that process that I never thought I would share in a YouTube video, because I feel like I'm giving it away when it's like something we do at live events, but is that powerful, and I just want to really add as much value as I can in these YouTube videos. So I'm going to actually share with you what that is. And once you do that, and if you find someone to do that with, it will completely change your life within a very short period of time. So first things first, when we're talking about about shifting into a new you, you could say manifestation. And when people say manifestation, what they're really saying is like, I want to manifest something into my life that doesn't already exist. I'm not thinking about it from that point of view, because the point is, think of it like a radio. A radio picks up on frequencies that already exist. What quantum physics is showing us is that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist. So there's a version of you that's already living your dream life. It's already there. All you got to do is energetically tune to it. That's what I did in 2017, completely transformed my life. I tuned to the version of me that already existed, of me being a full-time YouTuber. I modeled that versions of me body language. I modeled that versions of me work ethic. I modeled that version of me skills that I learned, and I just made the choice to be that version of me. Now, The things that keep us stuck, though, are the things we need to look at. Now, one of the things I see so many people that want to attract love, so many people that want to, create more abundance that blocks them, is that there's an inner need that their inner child has that has not been met. So what they end up doing is they end up trying to get it met, but they can't figure out why they keep falling back into old patterns. And they keep trying to get it met through these superficial means, and they're not even aware of it. For example, there was a movie that I just watched recently. It's called Elementals. It's like this cartoon Pixar movie. It's a cartoon. And basically, it's about the different elements. I kind of like that because it was like the different elements are like the different signs of the zodiac in a way. There was fire, there was that of water, there was air and earth. And there's this like elemental city. And you could see in the beginning of the movie that there was earth, wind, and water were already integrated. They were already there were different communities in the city, they all got along, but then fire comes in on boats. I think the fire represented immigrants. And these fire would come in, and they were like little fire cartoon beings, right? And everything would catch on fire, and there was all of these, there was this feeling that they didn't fit in, and there was a lot of kind of racism from the earth, the wind, and the water. And the thing was, though, that I found very interesting is the two fires that came, the mom and the dad, then had a baby fire. That baby fire grew up, her name was Ember, and she was supposed to take over the store that her dad made. Her dad has this convenience store where they had fire coals they would sell and all these things, and they would eventually more and more fire people move there, and they had a community very much representative of immigrants, and they're closest with each other and probably feeling like an outsider because everyone else is integrated. But what happens is there's this loyalty that Ember feels towards making her dad proud and happy. And as a little baby, the dad would tell Ember, you're gonna own this shop one day. You're gonna own this convenience store one day. You're gonna own this convenience store one day. And then she was just always excited. She'd do everything she could to make her dad happy. She would do all this cool stuff and race to get deliveries done by a certain time just to make her dad happy. And then what she eventually realizes is through the story of the movie is that what she really likes doing is blowing glass because she's fire. So she blow these really cool glass sculptures and things. And that's what she's really passionate about. And throughout the whole movie, she's driven towards she has to do that, of make her dad proud, own her dad's shop because her dad's getting sick, her dad's getting older, and she needs to take over. But there's this feeling of guilt if she were to do the glass blowing of what she wants. And there's this feeling that she has if she really wants to make her dad proud, she really wants to make her grandma proud who said you must marry fire. There's this little clip where her grandma was dying. She's like, you marry fire, which is probably also in a reflection of a lot of times within certain cultures is you must marry this person. And then people may wonder why they're having trouble dating when they have this huge guilt towards dating anyone that's not their culture. So it's interesting here because I'm sharing this story with you because it was very clear to see that she was going for something. She was climbing a mountain that she was trying to conquer that wasn't even her mountain to climb, that even a desire she had to even climb that mountain. And then she realized that towards the end. And what she was afraid of was the vulnerability of sharing that with her dad. She was afraid he was going to find out. Her dad and her mom were going to find out she was dating water because it had never been done before. And also find out she liked glass blowing because there was guilt. There was subconscious guilt and familiar energy there that wanted her to stay consistent to who she was supposed to be. There was a feeling that she had to be something. There was a belief there that she had to be exactly what her mom and her dad wanted her to be, and even what her culture wanted her to be. So we talk about shifting to a new version of you. But the thing is if you are constantly trying to do something to become successful for the wrong reasons, then you'll find that becomes very superficial and it's driving you up the wrong mountain. When instead you got to make the decision of what does things mean, what do you choose successes in your life? What do you choose your vision is? I know for a long time I was trying to make my dad has never understood YouTube. And I remember in the beginning I was trying to show my dad and my friends YouTube, and I wanted them to give me the approval and validation. And I remember for a long time I was seeking that, and I could tell that even the way I made videos, the way I was trying to get more views, I could tell there were times it was authentic where I was just trying to add value, but there were also times I was doing it because I was trying to avoid this massive feeling of shame. There's something wrong with me. I must make so many videos on YouTube that add so much value to people because then I'll show that I am actually worthy. And in a way, many, many successful people have built their success off of the energy of shame. Not feeling good enough and trying to prove it to the world they are good enough, but no matter where you get, it never feels like enough because it hasn't been worked on from the inside out. Now we talk about blame from people that attract. I have friends and people I've seen in my life that want to attract love, but they so strongly blame their ex and they're so focused on their ex that what happens is there's no room for a new person to come into their life. And that blame is literally like a tether that attracts more and more people to you that reflect that energy dynamic back. Because remember, you get in life a reflection of who you are being. And part of it's how you think, feel, and act. If you're feeling guilt, shame, or blame, you're gonna attract people in your life to reflect that back to you. So if you blame mom or dad, you'll find that you'll end up blaming an ex or someone else. And really what this all comes down to, honestly, is forgiveness. I know people that are blaming their ex, so fixated on what their ex is doing, that it's keeping them from really healing because they're attached to a story of not taking responsibility for forgiveness, forgiving mom or dad. I had to forgive my ex-stepmom back in 2012. When I did that pattern of that narcissistic manager that was in my life, that was the same pattern as my ex-stepmom, she got fired within a week of me forgiving my ex-stepmom. It's crazy how fast people will shoot out of your life that no longer resonate with the integrated part of you, and how new people will come in as you integrate. Integrate means to feel to heal. The more you feel and heal and allow yourself to be aware of the shame, blame, and guilt, and you sit with it, the more it resolves through your body. It's just that we avoid the feeling by creating success. We avoid the feeling by not being vulnerable. And vulnerability is a way of showing that and not being ashamed of it. It's that's how the healing happens. So becoming aware of your inner child energy. I have an inner child meditation. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's completely free. You can listen to a meditation where you go to Kauai, Hawaii. I know it sounds funny, but energetically you go there, which has this energy of connecting to your inner child and then allowing yourself to heal it to meet its needs so you stop attracting those patterns in your life. I'll go ahead and link it down below or go to aarondowdy.com/child to download that. Now, the next thing that really makes a huge difference is understanding the power of saying no. As you go on this path of shifting to your dream reality, every time you say no to something that's been familiar, you say yes to a new version of yourself. I've had to be aware of how I attract certain patterns in certain people in my life. And the lesson isn't always to keep it around and to work with it and to process more information. Sometimes the answer is to say no to an energy that no longer resonates, that you no longer want in your life. And then when you say no to that, you say yes to another aspect of yourself. I know for me, for a long time, I felt like I had this pattern that my dad had of being a people pleaser. I became aware of this pattern inside of myself and realized, well, okay, I'm not nearly as bad as my dad, but there's still this energy. And what I had to eventually do is I had to say no to me being that way, being aware of every time I'd fall into that pattern, but also I had to start valuing authenticity and vulnerability over people's approval and validation. And also the authenticity for me to express the real me in a vulnerable way. That changed everything, but I had to say no, and that meant saying no to old people that only really resonated with the people pleaser version of me. You'll realize that as you start being a new you, people around you will protest. They'll be like, you're not being the way I expect you to be, but you have to make that choice. And also, when we talk about pendulums, I was talking earlier about that, of the idea of the culture of fire, right? The fire is there's this culture, you have to marry fire. And they're in the Elemental movie or whatever. And there's a lot of times a big, strong pull for people that are of certain cultures to marry people within certain cultures. There's a strong pull for people to do what their parents, mom and dad wants them to do. You're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be a lawyer, you're gonna do this. That's also a part of what's called the pendulum. It's this thoughts. It's an esoteric idea that has to do with a thought structure within social conditioning. So because what we think has an energy to it and what we feel, think of it as a group thought structure of many people who think and feel the same way. There are pendulums around just about everything. Now the key with a pendulum is you don't fight a pendulum, which is ironic because I said say no, but what you do is you observe a pendulum from a neutral place. You don't feed it, because if you feed it and you fight, like Republican or Democrat, for example, if you fight or are for either, you're feeding it. And the more you fight the other, the more you feed the other, because it's activating it inside of yourself. So what sometimes you think is your own thoughts is actually other people's thoughts. It might be even your culture's thoughts. This is when we get into videos I have on Morphic Resonance, how the same energy patterns that were within our family line are also within us. So if we think there are thoughts and emotions, then we can get kind of tied up instead of just becoming aware of it, processing it. So pendulums, the key is observing it instead of trying to fight it. The more you fight it, the more you feed it. But you have to say no. When I started being on YouTube and I started making daily videos, I had to say no to hanging around friends where all I would do was smoke and drink, because I had to stay focused on my vision. If I would have said yes to that, I'd be saying no to my dream. So in your dream reality, realize the people you surround yourself with through osmosis, through energy, you're picking up on their subconscious beliefs, their stories, and their energies, whether you're aware of it or not. So becoming aware of that is just so powerful for then choosing, what do you want? How do you prefer to show up in your life? And then understanding that that's where you put your energy and believe in your vision. Now, the third, so when you're talking about being this new version of ourselves, shifting to a different reality where we can feel more love, joy, peace, and passion, you get in life how you think, feel, and act. Literally, it's why you must embody it now, because if you don't embody it now and you feel lack, you're going to perceive of more lack. If you're a radio dial that's tuning to frequencies that already exist and you feel lack, you're going to attract more lack. So a huge part of this I've realized is what I call heart field activation, aka meditation. There are meditations that I have on YouTube, some of which have millions of views. I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just saying there's almost a pendulum around those meditations as well, because what happens is people do these meditations where they shift into different energies within their body, and then they attract new realities. Like literally the meditation on attracting love that I have that has 7 million views has like over 100,000 likes and tens of thousands of comments from people who say on day 12 or on day 21, on day 4, whatever, they attracted love into their life. And then people read that in the comments. They believe it's possible for them. They do the meditation, which all the meditation really does, by the way, is it helps people to feel inside their own heart, self-love. Feel it as if it already exists. Then they go out into the world and they attract people that reflect that back to them, because it's all about inside-out transformation. Meditations, that's why at live events, meditations is a huge focus of it. It's moving the energy from the head into the heart, activating that energy, and realizing that from there, you literally shift to a new reality, because think of it as the standing waves being emanated from your heart. We have standing waves. And the idea is that these standing waves are kind of projecting out what we energetically tune to. And if we're putting out standing waves of love, joy, and bliss, we're more likely to emanate an attractive energy that magnetizes people in that resonate with that. So the meditations on getting into your heart, on activating it, are so powerful. Even in my own life, like before I did a live event recently in Sedona, Arizona, then I did one in LA, and it was so much fun, so epic. And before those meditations, even before the day would start, I would do these meditations where I would feel and imagine myself on stage and imagine people feeling transformed. I'd feel so grateful for the level of people that I bring in at my live events. They're just such high, like the people have so much courage and vulnerability, and they have this like warriorness of going into their shadow and feeling it to heal it, and it's like so rewarding for me to be a part of that. And I would imagine people transforming. And then what I do is we get that of the volunteers that help with my live events. We had like 12 volunteers. We all get in a circle and we all visualize everyone in the crowd being in their hearts, leaving transformed. Like we create these structures of energy within the field and the space itself that is just so transformative. And it comes from the power of group intention. It comes from the power of us getting into our own hearts and visualizing them. It's almost like the universe flows more through you when you want to add more value. But getting in your heart is one of the keys to shifting. Getting in your heart and feeling it from the inside out. And meditation allows you to do that. It's always the same two things I share. Meditation, and then number 5, which I'll share with you in a minute. Now, shifting to your dream reality. If I really boil it down to what it really is too, what you do is you realize you have this inner self-image that you project onto the world. I had an inner self-image for a long time that I was a mediocre sales employee when I sold women's shoes. I learned and read the book Psycho-Cybernetics, which is all about the inner self-image. I then changed my self-image and I started modeling the top-selling version of myself using my imagination and then making a choice based on that identity. So I would then visualize myself every day going into work, looking at the top salespeople from the day before. I'd visualize myself being at the top. But I didn't just make it mental, I embodied that version of me. I realized the version of me that was the top salesperson selling women's shoes at Nordstrom's and designer shoes. I would greet every customer. I'd go above and beyond for customers. I'd bring out other shoes that I thought people would like. I would have fun with customers and I would elevate their emotions. I would focus on adding as much value as possible. I would put tissue over their shoes in the bag and go above and beyond to show that I care and bring it back to them. Bring the bag around the counter to them. I did that not because I knew they'd come back to me if I tissued the box a certain way. I knew that doing that was a symbol that this is who I am. I am a top salesperson. I go above and beyond. That leaked into my identity to where within a few days I was consistently at the top of the list. Then I took that same concept and applied it towards YouTube. Here I am working at now Barney's New York, similar idea, selling women's shoes, thinking, feeling, and acting equal to that reality. And then I started modeling what would the full-time version of Aaron on YouTube be doing. He'd be making daily videos. He'd be passionate. He would learn editing. He would learn how to market himself. He would learn how to speak. He'd get better with every video. He would take massive action. He'd be self-motivated. I just made a choice to be it. I made a choice from the level of identity to be it. And that's a huge part of this. So realize you get in life a direct reflection of who you are being, but if you make an identity-based choice based on who you are like that, it can shift everything. It's very powerful. That's really the key to just about everything. Everything I teach could kind of be boiled down into that. You get in life a reflection of who you are being, make a choice about who you are, knowing every moment you're a new you. Every moment you're a new you. Your cells in your body are constantly dying and being reborn. It's just that we tell ourselves a story, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. My inner childhood energy of shame, there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with me. I blame mom did this to me, mom did this to me, dad did this to me, dad did this to me. Guilt, I feel guilty, codependent onto something else. And we tell ourselves that story, therefore we stay tied to it until we become aware of it. We actually face the emotions, we integrate it, and then we start to become more free. Now, that exercise I want to share with you is a very powerful exercise that I learned when I was in speaking at a live event here actually, my friend Sahara Rose's live event. I was speaking at a live event, and then afterwards, we were in this trailer. There was like this trailer outside. It was here in Austin. There was this trailer outside, and we were like, the speakers were all talking. And we did this thing where we went in a circle, and we did this exercise that I found so powerful that I applied it into my live events. I applied it into the programs that I had. It's so powerful. And it's very simple, but basically what you do is you get into the frequency as if it's 6 months from now. Imagine 6 months now from watching this video. And imagine you say, wow, I remember that video that Aaron made. I watched it and I learned about this exercise. And in those 6 months after I watched that video, I went and did this thing. Let's say you wanted to become a full-time artist. And you're like, I watched the video that Aaron made, and then I realized I could just give myself permission to be it. So what I did is I committed to making art every single day. I do it even a little bit, and I wasn't so hard on myself. I'd allow myself to mess up a little bit. I started to feel so confident that what I did is I put that art onto Instagram, and I would then give that art away, and I'd make like sketches of certain celebrities. And what I would do is I would give that to them, and some people liked it so much that they would share it with their audiences. And then more and more people were paying attention to it. And then friends and family were like, what are you doing? Wow, you're just putting out this content, or you're making this beautiful art. And it started to then the community started to share. And then what happened is after that, people started to really like it, and I built a website. I started to do these like expos that I would do, where I'd go to like Venice Beach in California and have these art expos, and I started making money. Then I was able to quit my job, and it was epic. And then after that, I kept embodying this energy of being this artist, and I kept being that to where then I had these opportunities that I never thought would come into my life, but they did. And it was a completely new reality where I quit my 9-to-5 job, and now all I do every day is I make art every single day. And then what you do is you get into the energy of this, as if this has already happened. It's not, it will happen. I hope one day it happens. By December it happened. It's already a reality. And then what I would say is, I remember that. I remember when you did that. I remember seeing how much your energy changed when you started to follow your passion. I remember when you started to feel that love inside of yourself, and you started to attract new people into your life that really respected you. I remember that you started to set boundaries. And because of that, you had so much more energy about you that you weren't abandoning yourself any longer, and it was like you felt emotionally free. I remember when you started to embody that love and you attract that perfect person into your life. I remember when you first met that person. It was so epic the way that your guys' energy was, the polarity that you had. It was incredible. The polarity you still have. It's been so cool to watch your journey and how much success you've created in your life over the last 6 months. So you see what I'm doing with you here? I remember when. So what you have is you have somebody that says, I remember when you did X, Y, Z. And what'll happen is you're going to go in a group. So I was with Sahara and all of her friends, a whole bunch of friends, and then we were doing this. And the funny thing was, is as I was doing this, I was like, I want to be on podcasts. I want to be on bigger podcasts. I want to travel, do more live events, blah, blah, blah. And then someone else was like, I remember when you were on this person's podcast, a specific person's name. And I literally thought to myself, I was like, wait, was I on this person's podcast? Like, it literally felt that real. So what you do is you just talk about it. 6 months from now, what have you created in your life? Now that you've watched this video and you learned about this and you tapped into that vibration of you, have a friend reflect that back and feed on your energy. As you're in that frequency, I remember when you did this, and they can, in a way, build on it. So at live events, we do this, and people build, they literally feel the frequency. It's one of the most fun thing people do. You can do this with one friend, you can do this with 3 friends. And what I realized is then I met my friend Kyle Cease, who came and spoke at one of my events. He does that consistently with his team, with his family members, with his friends. It's like this is a well-known thing for tapping into the reality that you want. So this exercise is so powerful. This way of being is so powerful when you begin to embody it. Now, the fifth part of this, that is one of the most important as well, is realize taking action and letting it be an end of itself. Remember I was talking about putting the tissue over the box to give it to the person, and I was doing that because it's who I am, not because of what it'll get me. If I make a video that I want to do well on YouTube and I really want it to get a lot of views, that's a means to an end. Instead of it being an end of itself, I just love doing this. I just want to add value. This is who I am. Let the action be an end of itself. You're making daily pieces of art as an artist because you're an artist. It's who you are. You tap into your frequency energy. I now, by the way, remember a couple months, I was making a video a week for a long time, for a year. And then I tell myself a story. I don't want to make daily videos anymore because I want to focus on live events and stuff. I have too much busy stuff to do. So I wasn't focusing on creating content. I wasn't focused on Instagram. I wasn't writing as many emails to my email list. And then all of a sudden, back in the day, when I was at my peak, I was going live all the time on Instagram. I was making videos every single day, and I was writing emails just about every day. I was like, how did I used to do that? Why? How did I do that? It was just a part of my identity. So it's funny because now after running live events for a couple months, I'm realizing my zone of genius, I'm really passionate about making content. I've been making a video every single day for a whole entire week, and my videos, I think, are feeling more and more natural because this is who I am. I'm also writing emails more often, and it's just flowing for me. I'm just wanting to add value in emails. I'm sharing ideas of the day, top insights people can apply in their lives. I used to do this back in the day. I'm doing it now, and it's just flowing. It's as I step into this version of me, the universe is sending me more and more passion and more ideas. And you can do the same by making a commitment to this new version of you. Realize your identity is what you commit to. I'm committed to being someone that adds value and that is only doing the things in my zone of genius. And because of that, it's things are really, it's funny. As I step into this version of me, not saying this brag or anything, but Last 2 or 3 days on Instagram, I've decided just to not be so judgmental of my posts on Instagram. I'm just gonna post. I post 1 or 2 videos. One didn't do that well, one did really well. Literally within the last 3 or 4 days, I have one video that got like 400,000 views on IG Reels, another one that got 300,000 views, and then one that didn't get as many, got like 70 or 80,000. But guess what? It's like, I'm just committed to making the daily content. I'm not committed to the results. But it's funny how when you're not committed to the results and I'm just doing it because this is who I would choose to be, the results start coming. It's like growing, my Instagram's grown by like 5,000 followers over the last couple of days because I'm consistently being this version of me. Not because of what it'll get me, but because this is who I am. So be it because it's an end of itself. I started being a full-time YouTuber in 2017, completely shifted my life. So realize that as you apply all of these in your life, it changes everything. If you want a meditation that will help you to raise your dominant vibration permanently, commit to it for 21 days, watch how it changes your field. I'm gonna go ahead and post this meditation right here.